back. We are learning Chapter 2, Anatomy and Physiology today. This is a really heavy chapter. It may not come easily for you, and that is totally okay. We're going to work through this together, and you might also wonder as we go along, well, why are we learning about so many different parts of the body when I'm just trying to learn about skin? I think they just want you to have a general understanding of the body as a whole, scientifically, so that you can better understand the skin. So let's get into it. Explain why estheticians need knowledge of anatomy and physiology. Estheticians should study and have a thorough understanding of anatomy and physiology because estheticians need to understand how the human body functions as an integrated whole. Body systems are interdependent on each other, and if one system is not functioning optimally, it affects the entire body, and it can be evident in the skin. As a service provider, you must be able to recognize skin changes from earlier visits, and you may need to change a treatment plan or refer the client to a medical provider for evaluation. Estheticians must understand the effect that services will have on the tissues, organs, and body systems. Recommendations for treatment plans and protocols for a client are based on the decisions made during a skin analysis and consultation and review of the client intake form. Understanding the complexity of the human body and how body systems are interrelated will help you take the information into consideration when advising a treatment plan, recommending skincare products, or performing a service. Anatomy is the study of the structures of the human body and the substances these structures are made of. It is the science of the interconnected detail of organisms or of their parts. Physiology is the study of the functions and activities performed by the body structures, including physical and chemical processes. And histology, also known as microscopic anatomy, is the study of the structure and composition of tissue. Describe the basic structure and function of the cell. Cells are the basic unit of life in all living things, including bacteria, plants, animals, and humans. They are responsible for carrying on all life processes. The basic structure of the cell. Most cells include a protoplasm, a nucleus, organelles, which means small organs, and the cell membrane. The protoplasm is a colorless, watery, gel-like fluid containing the nutrient material necessary for cell growth, reproduction, and self-repair. The nucleus is the dense, active protoplasm found in the center of the cell. A lot of times we call the nucleus the brain of the cell. It plays an important part in cell reproduction and metabolism. It contains the nucleoplasm, which is the fluid within the nucleus that contains proteins and DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid. And DNA, of course, determines our genetic makeup. The mitochondria, organelles floating freely throughout the cell that take in nutrients, break them down, and create energy for the cell. Chemical energy used within cells for metabolism is called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. The number of mitochondria within a cell depends on how much energy the cell needs. For example, muscle cells need a lot of energy, so they have several thousand mitochondria, whereas neurons or nerve cells don't need as many. And you'll probably remember from high school them always saying mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. The cell membrane, think of it like an envelope. It's our protective layer. It encloses the protoplasm and permits soluble substances to enter and leave. It is selectively permeable. I want you to really remember this term right here, selectively permeable. And if we break down the parts of this term, it'll make sense. So selectively means sometimes, but not all the time, right? It's selective about what enters. Permeable means being able to penetrate. So our cells control the introduction of beneficial substances and removal of waste and other substances that do not benefit the life of the cell. So that means, in a nutshell, our cells are really cool because they can absorb what would be beneficial and keep out what wouldn't be. That's why it's selectively permeable. And the cell membrane protects the cell from its surroundings and communicates with other cells, linking the cells together to form tissues. Cell reproduction and division. Cells reproduce to provide new cells for the growth and replacement of worn or injured ones. Mitosis is the normal process of cell reproduction in the human tissues that occurs when the cell divides into two identical cells called daughter cells. So when this is one, we call it the mother cell, and then it divides to form two identical daughter cells, and that is mitosis. For continued growth and reproduction, cells need favorable conditions, adequate supply of nutrients, oxygen, and water, suitable temperatures, and the ability to eliminate waste products. Unfavorable conditions include toxins, disease, and injury. Cell metabolism. Metabolism is the complex chemical process taking place in living organisms. It converts nutrients to energy and eliminates waste. It allows organisms to grow and reproduce, respond to environments, and maintain their structures. How is this important? Aging influences the cell metabolism, and the cell begins to function less efficiently. The client's response to treatments and to the active ingredients in skincare products will be influenced by the efficiency and speed of their metabolism. Describe the 4 types of tissue found in the body. You're going to want to remember what each of these 4 types are and what they do. Tissue is a collection of similar cells that perform a particular function. Each tissue has a specific function and can be recognized by its characteristic appearance. There are 4 types. First, we have connective tissue. This supports, protects, and binds together other tissues of the body. So that's easy to remember, right? Connective tissue connects other parts of our body. Examples are bone, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, fascia, and fat or adipose tissue. A fun fact too is our blood is actually also considered a circulating connective tissue. And collagen and elastin are protein fibers that are also part of connective tissue. Collagen and elastin is what lives in our dermis. Collagen in particular is actually the most abundant protein in our body. And these two live in the dermis and create the structure and support for our skin. As you might know, we lose collagen as we age, and we're always trying to increase collagen production. We're going to learn so much more about that too in the next chapter, Physiology and Histology. Next, we have epithelial tissue, which is the protective lining on cavities of the body and surfaces of organs. Examples include skin, so our skin is epithelial tissue, mucous membranes, linings of the heart, digestive and respiratory organs, and glands. Next, we have muscle tissue, which is exactly what it sounds like. It contracts and moves various parts of our body. It's our muscles. And nerve tissue. Nerve tissue carries messages through the central nervous system to control and coordinate all body functions. It's composed of special cells called neurons, which make up the nerves, brain, and spinal cord. Whenever you see nerve or nervous, you'll usually see it paired with carries messages or signals. Define the functions of major organs and systems of the body that intersect with the integumentary system and aesthetics. Functions in the body are carried out by organs. Organs are a collection of tissues that have an identifiable structure and perform specific functions, such as the heart. You may be confused because if we go a few slides back when we were learning about tissue, it had a similar definition, but there's a key difference. So tissue is a collection of similar cells that perform a particular function. So cells are the smallest thing, right? And then there's tissues and then there's organs. So a collection of similar cells with the same function are tissue. A collection of tissue with the same function form organs. So that is the difference there. Organisms and body systems. The integumentary system, and the integumentary system is our skin. It is the largest organ of the body, first line of defense against infection and water loss, regulates temperature, perceives sensation, produces vitamin D, and has absorption capabilities. And the organs of the integumentary system are the skin and accessory organs such as oil and sweat glands, sensory receptors, hair, and nails. Why know this? As skin is the largest organ in the body, learning its functions and the work of the accessory organs is a critical component in a skincare therapist's success. The skeletal system. Its function is it forms our physical foundation of the body. It consists of bones and movable and immovable joints. Its organs are the bones. It's important for protecting your own body mechanics when working and knowing physical landmarks when providing treatments, including makeup applications. Muscular system. It covers, shapes, and supports skeletal tissue. It contracts and moves parts of the body. It consists of the muscles. It's important when doing massage and performing electrical treatments. Also important to prevent motion fatigue while performing treatments. The nervous system. The function is to carry messages through the central nervous system, controlling and coordinating all body functions. Its organs are the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. We need to know the location of the facial nerves when performing treatments. Nerves control the muscle movements of the face. The circulatory system. Its function is to control the steady delivery of the blood through the body, and it works with the lymphatic channels. Its organs are the heart and blood vessels. The health of this system affects the skin tissue health. Issues are often contraindications and precautions to treatment. Examples: when performing body wraps, understanding which direction to wrap is essential for a good outcome, or an adverse event can occur. The immune and lymphatic system. The function is to protect the body from disease by developing resistances and destroying disease-causing toxins, foreign material, and bacteria. Its organs are the spleen and the lymph. Many treatments require action from this system, including performing lymphatic massage. The endocrine system. This affects growth, development, sexual activities, and normal regulatory processes of the body. It consists of specialized glands. Its organs are the adrenal gland, pituitary gland, and the pancreas. Hormones excreted by this system affect the skin, and understanding the function will help when recognizing the need for medical evaluation, like acne breakouts, hair growth, and skin oiliness or dryness are a few. So the endocrine system is all about our hormones. The reproductive system. The function is production of children and passing on our genetics from one generation to another. It differentiates between the sexes. Organs are uterus, ovaries, penis, and testicles. Systemic and hormonal influences accompanying puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause, and menopause make demands on skin that require knowledge in order to provide skincare treatment. The respiratory system enables breathing, supplies the body with oxygen, and eliminates carbon dioxide as a waste product. Its organs are the lungs, trachea, and bronchi. Adequate oxygenation of the tissue allows optimum cell functioning. Possibility of respiratory spread of infection affects the safety and cleanliness. The digestive system. The function is to break down food into smaller and smaller particles to absorb nutrients or for excretion. Its organs are the esophagus, stomach, gallbladder, liver, small and large intestines. Good nutrition allows optimum functioning of all body systems. And finally, excretory system. I know we had a lot here. Its function refers to elimination of waste matter, and its organs are the kidneys and bladder. List 5 accessory organs to the skin. The integumentary system is made up of the skin and its various accessory organs. Number 1, the sensory receptors. Number 2, the hair. Number 3, the nails. Number 4, the oil glands. And number 5, the sweat glands, also called exocrine glands. So just so you know the technical terms for these two, the technical name for the oil glands are the sebaceous glands because they produce sebum, which is the technical name for oil. So start using these more advanced terms when you start doing your facials or with your classmates so that you get used to using them. So sebum is oil production, and our oil glands are our sebaceous glands. So here's the sebaceous gland right here. It lives down in our dermis. And our sweat glands are our sudoriferous glands. That's another name for them, also in our dermis. Now, in our next chapter, we're going to learn about layers of the skin. It's hard for me to keep from talking about it now because it's right here, and I can't wait to teach you guys about it. But we will save that for next week because this chapter is a lot in and of itself. The word integument, as in the integumentary system, means a natural covering. Think of the skin as a protective overcoat against the outside elements. Identify the 5 functions of the skeletal system. The skeletal system is the physical foundation of the body. How is this important? As an esthetician, an understanding of the skeletal system is important for when you're performing makeup applications. Certain treatments may require you to treat the ocular ridge. It's essential that you know the location on the anatomy. Some states do not allow estheticians to perform treatments beyond the 7th cervical vertebrae, for example. Additionally, you must understand how to protect your own body using proper body mechanics while working. I will tell you, in my time as a makeup artist, which was about 10 years, it always would hurt my back, no matter how good I felt like my posture was. The adult skeleton has 206 bones that form a rigid framework to which the softer tissues and organs of the bodies are encased and act as anchor points for muscles and ligaments to provide support for movement. Muscles are connected to bones by tendons. Bones are connected to each other by ligaments. Bone tissue is composed of several types of bone cells embedded in a web of organic salts and collagenous fibers. A joint is the place of connection where 2 or more bones meet one another. There are 2 types, movable, such as elbow and knees and hips, and immovable, such as the pelvis and skull. Did you know people often complain of joint pain? However, the pain is usually caused by inflammation of the tissue surrounding the joint and not by the joint itself. You have over 230 movable and semi-movable joints in your body. The primary functions of the skeletal system are to give shape and support to the body, protect various internal structures and organs, serve as attachments for muscles and act as levers to produce body movement, help produce both white and red blood cells, which is one function of the bone marrow, and store most of the body's calcium supply as well as phosphorus, magnesium, and sodium. Bones of the skull. Okay. Apologies in advance. I didn't read this curriculum. I know this is a lot. Everything up until now is actually, I find, super applicable because, like they said, our body works as a whole, even though it has many different parts. Everything is so interconnected, and there are so many elements to why our skin behaves the way it does. And a lot of times, certain skin conditions that show up have a root cause somewhere inside our body. Do I think it's super important to know every bone in the skull and every muscle in our hand and foot? No. But we do need to know this for state board, and it does come in handy when we're doing massage and we can, or just doing different treatments, we can refer to a different area on the face and know the anatomy. That is very helpful. So just bear with me as best you can. I know it's hard and it's a lot to remember. Okay, bones of the skull. The human head contains 22 bones divided into 2 groups. The cranium, an oval bony case that protects the brain, is formed by 8 bones. The face consists of 14 bones, including the maxilla, which is the upper jaw, and the mandible, which is the lower jaw. So this is the maxilla. Sorry, excuse me. It's behind where our upper lip is. And the mandible is our jaw, the part that opens and closes our mouth. Bones of the cranium. The occipital forms the back of the skull above the nape. So this is the occipital bone right here. The parietal bone are two bones that form sides and top of the cranium. So these bones right here, and there's two of them, these very large bones right here. Frontal forms the forehead. We also have a muscle called the frontalis muscle, but that's a convo for another time. Temporal are the two bones that form the sides of the head in the ear region. So temporal right here. Ethmoid is the light spongy bone between the eye sockets that form part of the nasal cavities. And sphenoid is the bone that forms the sides of the eye socket. Bones of the face. These are the bones that the esthetician needs to know. The nasal bones is exactly what it sounds like, the two bones that form the bridge of the nose. Excuse me if I mispronounce this. Lacrimal are two bones, the smallest and most fragile bones of the face, are situated at the front inside part of the eye socket. Zygomatic form the prominence of the cheeks, also known as the cheekbones. So zygomatic right here. Maxillae are the two bones that form the upper jaw. And the mandible is the lower bone, the largest and strongest facial bone. Bones of the neck. Hyoid is a U-shaped bone at the base of the tongue that supports the tongue and its muscles. Cervical vertebrae are 7 bones at the top part of the vertebral column located in the neck region. Bones of the chest. Bones of the chest are important when performing full body treatments such as body wraps. Also for massage that will include touching the sternum, scapula, and clavicle are body reference landmarks. The thorax is the chest or pulmonary trunk consisting of the sternum, ribs, and thoracic vertebrae, an elastic bony cage that serves as the protective framework for the heart, lungs, and other internal organs. So, the thorax is not a particular bone, but rather an entire area. So it's essentially your entire torso, from shoulder to about bottom of the rib cage. The ribs are 12 pairs of bones forming the wall of the thorax. The scapula, also known as the shoulder blade, is the large, flat, triangular bone of the shoulder. There are two because we have two shoulders, so see they're in the back of the body. The sternum, also known as the breastbone, is the flat bone that forms the ventral or front support of the ribs. So this is the breastbone right here, the sternum. And the clavicle are your collarbones, the bone that joins the sternum and scapula. So here's your clavicle right here, your collarbones. Bones of the arm and hand. The humerus is the uppermost and largest bone of the arm, extending from the elbow to the shoulder. So that is your upper bone in the upper arm, humerus. The ulna is the inner and larger bone of the forearm, which is the lower arm, attached to the wrist and located on the side of the little finger. We've got two bones in our forearm, our radius and ulna. So the ulna is the outer bone, and it leads to our pinky finger. The radius is the smaller bone on the same side as the thumb. The carpus, if you've ever heard of carpals, like those little round bones in your wrist. The carpus is the wrist, a flexible joint composed of 8 small irregular bones called carpals held together by ligaments. These are the carpals right here. If you've ever heard of someone with carpal tunnel, it's referring to the wrist. The metacarpus, also known as the palm, consists of 5 long, slender bones called metacarpal bones. So these are your metacarpal bones. So hold out your hand in front of you. So we see our fingers, but so let me try to explain this without you being able to see me. Take a finger from your other hand and trace your fingers down your hand. You can still feel that your fingers almost extend underneath your hand, right? So you can feel those 4 individual bones continuing in the hand, even past where your fingers end. So down where you can't see them, but you can feel them. So in your hand are your metacarpals. Your actual fingers that we can see as separate bones are your phalanges. Muscles involved in aesthetics massage. The muscular system covers, shapes, and supports the skeletal tissue. This system can contract and move various parts of the body because of muscles, the fibrous tissues that can stretch and contract according to the demands of the body's movement. An esthetician will need familiarity with muscles for several reasons. Aesthetic massage involves manipulating the muscles of the face, neck, shoulders, arms, and hands. Many treatments using electrical modalities involve an understanding of the muscle's movement in order to achieve the desired result. Your posture and positioning during treatments will require you to demonstrate good body mechanics in order to prevent muscle fatigue. Our body has over 630 muscles, which are responsible for approximately 40% of the body's weight. Out of the over 630 muscles, 30 are facial muscles. You're going to want to know these terms too. There are 3 types of muscle tissue. One is skeletal tissue, which is also striated. We'll learn about that in just a second. But so the striated / skeletal muscle is voluntary. So we can contract it with conscious thought. So I'm deciding to move my mouth to talk to you guys right now. I can decide to raise my hand. I can decide to stand up and walk. Those are our skeletal or striated muscles. You can call them either one. They are voluntary, so we can control them. It makes sense that they're skeletal because they're attached to our bones or our skeleton, and that is what we're always moving. Next, we have our smooth muscles, which are involuntary. These are muscles that are not under conscious thought. And lastly, cardiac muscles. So these are specific to your heart function, which are also not under conscious control. Now, the reason that cardiac has its own separate group is because the cardiac muscles are the only striated involuntary muscles. Because if we look up here, skeletal muscles, which are striated, are voluntary. Smooth is involuntary. This is the only exception. These are striated and involuntary. We don't have to tell our heart to beat. It does it for us. Thank goodness, because that'd be too much to remember. Parts of the muscle. You're going to want to know these terms too. A skeletal or voluntary muscle has 3 parts. The origin, which is the more fixed part of the muscle closest to the skeleton, which flexes but remains stationary. It does not move. The belly, which is the middle part of the muscle, and the insertion, which is the part of the muscle that is movable, attachment, and farthest from the skeleton. Pressure in massage is usually directed from the insertion to the origin. Aesthetic treatment of muscles. Muscle tissue can be positively influenced during an aesthetic treatment by massage, electrical therapy, light rays, dry heat, or moist heat. We'll learn so much more about all of those things, trust me. Muscles of the scalp. There are 4 muscles of the scalp: the frontalis, occipitalis, and 2 temporalis muscles. The esthetician is most concerned with the frontalis. The frontalis is the scalp muscle that raises the eyebrows, draws the scalp forward, and causes wrinkles in the forehead. See this huge sheet of muscle all over your forehead? That's your frontalis. This is the muscle that creates the horizontal lines in your forehead. The epicranius or occipitofrontalis is a broad muscle that covers the top of the skull. It has 2 parts, occipitalis and frontalis. And the occipitalis is the back of the epicranius, the muscle that draws the scalp backwards. Muscles of the eyebrow. Oh my goodness, you guys are gonna need to know these three for sure. These come up so much. Starting with the corrugator. The corrugator is the muscle located beneath the frontalis and orbicularis oculi. It draws the eyebrows down and wrinkles the forehead vertically. These are your angry muscles right here between your eyebrows, the corrugator. This is what makes us look mad. And it gives us those 11s, as we sometimes call them, those two vertical lines in between your eyebrows. If you're me, I only have one and it's slanted. So I have a 1, not 11. Some people have one line, some people have two. The orbicularis oculi is the ring of muscle of the eye socket. It closes the eye. See this big circular muscle right here? That is your orbicularis oculi. Let me help you remember this term. So an orb means a circle, right? Oculi sounds like ocular. So like, you know how a ocular, I'm trying to think of a word and now I'm not able to. But you know how ocular means eyes, right? So anything that says ocular or oculi, that's referring to the eyes, and orb means circle. So it's that circular muscle around the eyes. I was going to say, you know how an eye doctor is an ophthalmologist, but I was like, wait, that's opt, not oc. But still, ocular does mean eyes. This is a fun one. The levator palpebra superioris muscle controls the eyelid and can be easily damaged during makeup applications. Very delicate. Muscles of the nose. The procerus lowers the eyebrows and causes wrinkles across the bridge of the nose. So this is kind of like your corrugator, but it's a little lower. It causes those little vertical wrinkles, kind of when you're like scrunching your nose. The nasalis is the two-part muscle that covers the nose and includes the transverse part and the alar part, which flares the nostrils. Muscles of the mouth. We have the buccinator, which is the thin, flat muscle of the cheek between the upper and lower jaw that compresses the cheeks and expels air between the lips, as in when blowing a whistle. Triangularis, also known as the depressor anguli oris, is the muscle extending alongside the chin that pulls down the corner of the mouth. Notice it says depressor. So if it pulls down the corners of our mouth, we frown when we're sad or depressed. So use that as a tool to remember it. And oris sounds like oral, which always refers to the mouth. The mentalis is the muscle that elevates the lower lip and raises and wrinkles the skin of the chin. The orbicularis oris, there's that orbicularis again, so it's round and it pertains to the mouth. So it's that round muscle that encircles the mouth. The levator anguli oris is a muscle associated with smiling. So on the contrary to the depressor muscle, we also have levator. What does levitate or levator mean? Levitate or raise. So it raises up the corners of our mouth as in smiling. And there's that oris word again, like oral. And the risorius is the muscle that draws the corners of the mouth out and back when grinning. The levator labii superioris is a muscle associated with lifting the wings of the nose and upper lip. And the zygomaticus is a major and minor are muscles extending to the zygomatic bone to the angle of the mouth. Elevates lip as in laughing. Muscles of mastication or chewing. The main muscles of mastication are the masseter and temporalis. They coordinate to open and close the mouth and bring the jaw forward or backward. These muscles are sometimes referred to as the chewing muscles. Muscles of the ear. The three muscles of the ear are called the auricularis muscles. They move the ear up, forward, and backward. Now I'm like trying to move my ears. I'm like, I can't really move my ears. Can y'all move your ears? I don't think these three muscles of my ears are working. We've got the auricularis superior, anterior auricularis, and auricularis posterior. Anterior always means in front, and posterior means in the back. See, anterior is in the front, posterior is in the back. Muscles of the neck. Oh, you're going to want to know these. The platysma is a broad muscle that, extending from the chest and shoulder muscles to the side of the chin, here it is right here, lowers the lower jaw and lip. This is so fun to say. The sternocleidomastoid muscle is the muscle extending alongside the neck from the ear to the collarbone. It acts to rotate the head from side to side and up and down. They are sometimes referred to also as the prayer muscles because they bow the head. Sternocleidomastoid muscles. Muscles that attach the arms to the body. The latissimus dorsi are a large, flat, triangular muscle that covers the lower back. It comes up from the lower half of the vertebral column and the iliac crest and narrows to a round tendon attached to the front of the upper arm of the humerus. And the pectoralis major and minor, or your pecs, are the muscles of the chest that assist in the swinging movements of the arms. Muscles of the shoulder and arms. We've got the trapezius, which is a muscle that covers the back of the neck and the upper and middle region of the back. It shrugs the shoulders and stabilizes the scapula. The biceps, which are the muscles that produce the contour of the front and inner sides of the arms. The deltoid, which is a large, thick, triangular-shaped muscle covering the shoulder joint and that allows them to extend the arm forward,